Oh, she's got it. Yeah.
And my family, sorry, do you need a microphone? You got the Irish voice. My family on my mother's side came from Ireland, from County Mayo and Clew Bay. And I have a feeling, if I can mix some words, that our family on my mother's side are really like Irish slum dogs, if you get what I'm saying.
I do.
We have a bit of a controversy here about attracting immigrants. Some people say that we should be aiming at those that have the high skills, the education, and try to get them to come from other countries. And then there are others of us that feel like the more slum dogs, the better. And I was wondering if you had any similar kinds of controversy in Philadelphia, and if so, how you resolve them. And is there really a conflict in attracting the people who have the high skills, college degrees, et cetera, elsewhere, and the other people who are like the ordinary people, like my mother? Thank you.
Yes, we certainly did have that. We have that conversation too in Philadelphia. However, we, if we look at our database, we have, it's a barbell. We have as many people who are unskilled, uneducated on one end as we have high-skilled and highly educated at the other. And 37% of the immigrants who come into our region have at least a bachelor's degree, and many of them have indeed graduate degrees. However, we have an equal number. What I did was I listened politely to those who, that was their point of view, that it should be just high-skilled immigrants. And I said, well, that's very nice, I understand. It's the road to no town. There are plenty of jobs also for those who are lower skilled. And one of the really interesting things, and if you look at our surveys of the business owners, these business owners, many of them are unskilled and uneducated immigrants. Now, on this one place on 52nd Street that I'm talking about, 221 immigrant businesses, the length of this corridor, creating, after our work with them, in having sort of integrate them into the community and bring the communities together, one of the things we wanted them to do was to consider hiring the young people in the neighborhood. And we just finished this study last couple of weeks ago, 221 businesses employing 900 neighborhood residents. Now, you could have a highly skilled researcher at the Wistar Institute further down the street, and his being there immediately will create probably 3 mid-level jobs to support his work. That's generally the way it works out. So we think that you need both, and we think that businesses need both. And one of the things that I would suggest you do is one of the things we did. We looked at what were the business needs. Our Federal Reserve did a study that showed that there was $16 million put into Select Greater Philadelphia to try to market Philadelphia, to get businesses to come in. And they weren't coming. So what are the issues? The issue was, the first issue was, found by and reported by the Federal Reserve, was that they did not have access to a wide range of skills in the workers. And that these business owners placed that at a higher level than taxes, for example, although taxes was right there next. But they said, we cannot do our work, we can't make any money without having people that we can hire. So that's what we do, and that's what we found. Go after both.
Good afternoon. How important was the role of educational institutions in implementing the project? And what would you say has been the greater benefit of this effort? Expanded communication in the community or the economic impacts?
The economic impact, I think, significantly. The education communities had little or nothing. They were very slow to come on board. I had one, because he was an old friend and he was afraid not to join me. Jim Gallagher, President Emeritus now, he just retired, of Philadelphia University. and he was on the board, and we could not. I wanted the board to reflect all of the sectors, because immigration and this issue of the demographics and of job creation and of workforce development affects everybody. And so I wanted our board to reflect that. I couldn't get them to do anything, but now they're all on it. And this one campus, Philadelphia, that they've got came in part out of a little piece of data that I found and passed along to them, was that the state of Iowa, which has in the 90s had a policy to try and attract immigrants because of their declining population. One of the unintended consequences of that was that their one research university were attracting many more foreign students than all of the universities in the city of Philadelphia. And when I pointed that out to the guys who were getting ready to do One Campus Philadelphia, all of a sudden we got the international piece up there, and but now we're all great friends. We're all now, we work well together. They're I've just told you what Penn does for us. We're working on getting a data center so that this information will be kept updated and we'll be able to really understand who's there and where they are, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I think that workforce development, economic development, we are absolutely the small business development, creating jobs, and then moving the immigrants into payroll jobs. We only work with work authorized immigrants and move them into payroll jobs.
Hi. About 15 years ago, I had a good paying for-profit job, and I decided to leave that and start volunteering at a nonprofit organization that was very small, run by an immigrant woman. That woman taught me a very, very important lesson. She said there are a lot of good ideas, but in the end, somebody has to figure out who is going to pay. And so now fast forward, here I am, a nonprofit fundraiser. So my question is, how did you come up with the initial funding, and how do you sustain it? In particular, I'm curious, do you have one funding stream, or do you find that it's best to diversify and have funding streams from lots of places?
Diversify, diversify, diversify. I did a lot of the groundwork of this for about 1.5 years on my own. I didn't ask anybody for money. I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if I felt it was important, but I had no idea. And I was about, maybe 60 years of age when I was doing this. I really had nothing to lose. I could go back to my job. But I felt very passionate about this, and I felt it was really important. So I went to the foundations, and the foundations, they don't fund immigration. Okay, I hear you. So I went back to the foundations, and I said, I see that you actually do fund economic development, don't you? And policy, and workforce development. So this project is workforce development, it is economic development, and how about and we have some partners. We are starting to, we've got some good data, and here's what we've done. And we're also very interested in outcomes. We just are. I really like to know where we're going and what we can expect, how we're measuring ourselves. And so they gave us, but they wouldn't give us, because we were a startup. William Penn Foundation gave us $66,000. But they wouldn't give it to us all at once. They gave us 33 and waited for 6 months to see if we'd survive, and then give us the other 33. Fell's Foundation gave us money. Philadelphia Foundation gave us money. That's how we started, with AFL-CIO. Soon thereafter, we went after the workforce money.